Morning gang, this is Mike G from Mr. GTV and this is my point of view. Coming to the end of March now. March is all about spring, and I was watching the weather this morning for the UK with snow on the hills, which I used to really like. There's no snow here, it's the height of high season really. Very, very hot here at the moment, just been for breakfast, and as I say, this is my point of view. These roads are normally really busy. It is getting busier. I'm really pleased to report that Thailand and Hua Hin in particular is getting the tourists back, and as the flights are coming in, with the regulations being lifted, more regulations being lifted on April the 5th, I'm looking forward to coming back and enjoying the snow with you guys in the UK or wherever you're watching this presentation. That car in front, you might notice, has got a red number plate. That's a new car. That's what they do in Thailand. They give them red number plates. Everybody knows it's a new car with the red number plate. It's rather like a badge of honour. And then within a couple of months you change the plates to the normal white one. It's a white one at the back in Thailand, so that's a nice Pajero Sports. And actually I'm getting used to these Thai sort of Sanskrit hieroglyphics. It's 2068 the number plate, and there's a figure at the front, and that's not a Hua Hin plate, so he's out of town. My motorbike's Hua Hin 10. I chose 10, I paid extra for 10, like a private plate here. It's the 1 and the 0, which is the binary coding of computer BIOS. So I'm into all that sort of stuff, if you hadn't already guessed. I'm going to turn left here, and as I turn left in front on the camera you'll see Power Buy. That's where I bought my television from, a lot of electrical stuff. They've also got a really nice coffee shop in there. And there's a place on the right hand side coming up that's called Big Kiang, with the big Hitachi sign. Bought my furniture from there, cheap as chips. I don't know if you remember, in the UK there was Index. Well, Index is here, but all the stuff that people order, the furniture from the shop and also from the catalogue, if it gets rejected or if it gets sent back, these guys sell it. So you get like a £600 three-piece suite for like 150 quid. And that's how I furnish my house. So coming up now to this bridge on this roundabout is the new Hua Hin Bangkok link with the speed train that's being built with Chinese money. It's going under it now. If you've ever watched my videos before and you've seen me stopping at signals for the train, this is the place where it happens. So I've successfully got through here without being stopped for a train. But the speed train will make the Bangkok Hua Hin journey about 2 hours, which is superb, because it's about 4 or 5 hours by road, and currently about 3¼ hours, 3 hours by rail. It's going to be about 1 hour 50, so that'll be really good as and when that happens. Anyway, this is my point of view. So we're going into April now. Don't be an April Fool. And March and the whole etymology of Mad March, April Fools. It's not by coincidence that you've got like the Mad March hare and the story about the crazy rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. It's all about the Gnostic stories hidden in nursery rhymes and fables and old wives' tales, myths and legends that reveal what March and April's all about, which is the wool being pulled over your eyes by governments, by the ruling elites. So now we're getting serious, but look at what's going on in the world at the moment, guys. I've got my point of view, which you're seeing literally through my windscreen as I drive through her in. But my point of view on society, whether you agree or not, do your own research, but Mad March, April Fools, everything that's going on is a smokescreen. It's an illusion, it's a magic trick where the government get you to see what they're doing in the right hand, where they're doing something underhand with the left hand. They're getting you to look in one direction while they manipulate society, government, laws, regulations, acts of parliament in the left hand. It's what they're not reporting while they're distracting the population with what they are reporting. And I think the latest Will Smith thing is a classic example of that in the Oscars. I mean, who gives a shit, really? And yet it's all over the press. It's look at this, while they're distracting you from things that are really important that I'm not even allowed to mention, otherwise I'll get deplatformed. But the big elephant in the room at the moment is adverse reactions, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to mention what it's about, but I think you know. And although they're unable now to hide the truth of the figures and the falsification of the facts, and the fact that a lot of the things that were enforced and imposed upon you for 2 years are being lifted at the moment, trust me, they've not gone away forever, and society has changed forever. Cash will be a thing of the past. Freedom of speech is becoming a thing of the past. And yesterday, remembering that I said Mad March and April Fools, they've just introduced into government the first transgender member of parliament. We've got men winning women's races, cycling. We've got male weightlifters. We've just had a rape on a maternity ward, and the papers were saying, well, can't be a rape on a maternity ward, all women. No. There was a transgender on the ward. How that happened, you tell me, no idea, but it's in the paper. And he assaulted another poor lady in that maternity ward, and it's all happening in Mad March, April Fool's Day, crazy season. And there's always a reason for a season. There's always a reason for a season. There's always a reason for a news story, and it's not what they're reporting, it's what they're hiding by reporting it. Read between the lines, guys. Change your point of view. Wake up. Please wake up. We've got to protect men and women. We've got to protect our cash. Totally refuse to pay by card. Turn up with cash. If they allow society to become cashless, they own you. I mean, look at what's happened. I mean, they've tested it with these Russian oligarchs, haven't they? You know, they're saying that they've restricted access to funds. What they've done is they've switched off their ATMs. They've deleted their banking accounts. How have they done that? They've done it electronically. Now, those guys will have money in possessions, so they've actually seized possessions. Okay. You might agree with that, you might not, but look what's behind that. What's behind that is the fact that they're proving to themselves, they're testing that they can do this. They're testing that they're able to selectively turn off somebody's access to their own money, whether it's criminal money or not. The principle is the same. So in the future, not only if you say the wrong thing will you have your Facebook account deleted or restricted, or your YouTube account deplatformed or whatever, if you don't behave like a good citizen, which is the Chinese model, the Korean model, if you don't behave like a good citizen and show allegiance mainly to an unelected pseudo-democracy, the government, etymology to governing mentality. At the moment, you can tell them to do one. You can tell them to swivel. I've got autonomy, you can't make me do this. Okay, you knock me off Facebook, not the end of the world. Knock me off YouTube, I can cope, I can go elsewhere. What happens when they remove your money? Because it's all electronic. And then they just flick a switch. You're stuffed. Don't allow them to take that level of control. Hang on to your money, buy gold, and refuse to pay. I mean, if you go to a bread shop or a Costa Coffee or wherever you go for your breakfast and your lunch and your supplies and your groceries and your hardware and your DIY, your petrol, and they say, sorry, card only, walk away. If we all did that, they'd have to allow cash payments. Because you know what it's like when your card doesn't work. You're knackered, aren't you? But maybe that's because you've damaged your card or something's happened to your card. But what happens when the government switch off your account because you've said something wrong, or you've done something wrong, or you've not done something that they want you to do? That's where it's going, guys. That's where it's going. So protect yourself. You don't have to agree with my point of view. Do your own research and look at the countries where this is already in. China, Korea. And the common denominator with those countries is they are dictatorships. They have ruling tyrants. It's tyranny, it's fascism, it's communism. We're getting communism through the back door at the moment, whatever you believe. And I'm not particularly a political person, but I'm into personal power, and I'm into human potentiality and consciousness and energy and spirituality. And we're born to be free and uninhibited. And only when we're free and uninhibited, even with the, I mean, we shouldn't have the right to hurt anybody, but, you know, words are words. And I mean, we saw with the Will Smith thing at the Oscars, I mean, it was just words. It might be inappropriate words. I think the whole thing was staged myself. It's another story. But you shouldn't be able to slap somebody because of words. And yet he got a standing ovation by all these celebrities who are so privileged and so snowflake and woke. And that's the way it's going. That's not the world I want to live in. There's no freedom and there's no uninhibited liberation in that sort of behaviour and those sorts of limitations. So don't be fooled. Take off your rose-tinted glasses or take off your blinkers. See it for what it is. And if all this is too much for you, well, fair enough, just go back into what's called detachment and cognitive dissonance, and maybe that's how you survive. But that's sort of saying, I'm alright, Jack. Think about future generations. Think about your kids, your grandkids, or your family's kids and grandkids. Just think about humanity and what we are allowing to take place at the moment. A rapid shift, an accelerated movement towards backdoor communism, control, restriction of movement, restriction of liberties, restriction of speech, removal of free speech, a cancel culture where very quickly you could be cancelled, or your access to your funds and your services and your liberties are cancelled. And from my point of view, that's all wrong. So don't play the game, don't acquiesce. There's a wonderful saying after 1945, which is that tyrannies can win, regime change will happen if good men do nothing, if good people do nothing. You don't have to support it, you don't have to be a rebel, a freedom fighter. You don't have to get on your soapbox a bit like I do. but just refuse to play the game. Don't make it easy for them. Complain positively. State your case. I've got cash, I want to buy that cake. Sorry, card only, okay? It's not the end of the world that you don't have the cake. Stand up for what's right. Be powerful. Enjoy your mind. God bless.